Well, it indicates that the economic policy is completely wrong, in my view. And I think it indicates that austerity has to be stopped. And the midterm budget now in just 1 month ago, it just sharpens austerity compared to what was already in the budget review in February, the national budget. As for the financial sector, well, as you know, the Johannesburg stock exchange or securities exchange, they had an all-time high in November now of their index. So the share prices seem to be they are not moved by unemployment numbers or something like that. That unemployment now increased to 34.9%. That's, as I say, it is the highest unemployment rate since they started these surveys. So I wouldn't give much for the increase in employment in the financial sector. It's kind of like a beast of its own. The important thing is what's happening in the real economy, and as you could see, even the mining sector, which has experienced exorbitant profits this year because of the commodity boom, even they are retrenching over 50,000 workers since the last quarter. So employment is down with 660,000 people, and the number of the people who have been stopped looking for jobs is up. So the real or sort of or more maybe more exact measure of unemployment right now, that is the expanded definition, and there you have an increase also to 46.6%. So the situation is terrible. And I see no way out of this if they are not changing the economic policy and stop with the austerity policy, because there are a lot of things that could be done, but then you need a other mindset in the treasury and in the government and at the Reserve Bank.
And perhaps let's delve deeper into this, Dr. Dick. The number of economically active persons or people who are not economically active at all is now has increased by 988,000. Now that is an astronomical number by any stretch of the imagination. What do you believe are the macroeconomic policies that need to be put in place in order to stimulate the job market? You did speak about an end to austerity measures.
Yeah, I mean the Treasury, firstly the Treasury or those who lead the Treasury and the government, obviously, they believe that a smaller public sector as a share of the whole economy is good for the economy. And I think it's completely wrong. I mean, if you look at the budget and if you firstly, it's absolutely spelled out in black and white when it comes to national employment in the public sector. They have a 3-year plan of reducing the police, for example, with 18,400 jobs. By not filling vacancies. And if you study the numbers, you will see that the public sector will lose around between 60 and 70,000 jobs in 3 years. And that is the plan. So the austerity is one. The second thing is the increase of the trajectory of increased interest rate by the Reserve Bank, which they now have just embarked on. The interest rate should rather be lower. and I mean, then the third factor, which you had already before the COVID, or which is really a structural factor in the South African economy, that is the notoriously low worker wages across the sectors, and it creates a demand deficit in the whole economy, a lack of demand for goods and services. There's no broad-based working class consumption, if you like, or double double C in this economy. And you need to have a buoyant working class. You need to have people that need to have money in their pockets in order to buy goods and services. Otherwise, you will end up with these unemployment numbers, and you will only have the mining sector and some other export sectors that are hiring workers. So there's no demand for labor already before the COVID, really, in the South African economy. And the reason is the low worker wages. So I mean, the wage share of value produced in the economy is below 50%. In coal mining, it is as low as 25% of every new value created there is going to the workers, and the rest is controlled by the owners of the mines. And that has to be changed, and that needs a sort of completely different attitude to the demands of trade unions. But I mean, right now, the important thing is to stop austerity and to convince the Reserve Bank to stop tightening monetary policy.
And what do you estimate the success of that being? Has the Reserve Bank shown an inclination towards that? Is there a move to completely relook how the country's monetary policy is to be positioned? And this especially in the light of COVID-19 and the continuously increasing unemployment numbers that we are seeing.
Yeah, I think one should do that. And I mean, one can imagine, one can think maybe that an increase rate of 0.25% or 0.25% is not much. But if you have sort of millions of people who have credit cards, shopping cards, or a bond on their car or on the house, then you understand that such a interest increase on bonds or credit cards, it amounts to tens of billions of rand in the economy, which is instead siphoned off to the finance industry. And that reduces sort of actual economic demand in the economy, and it underpins the increasing unemployment rates. So this sort of the Reserve Bank should consider, and it's been repeated again and again ever since the hard lockdown started in March 2020, they must consider direct lending to the Treasury at low interest rate. And this is the sort of some variant of quantitative easing. But it's very hard to convince the Reserve Bank governor of this, because when they came out sort of responding to this demand from many economists in the beginning, they claimed that they couldn't do that because it was forbidden in law. But that was wrong. It is allowed in such an extreme situation as we have now for the Reserve Bank to sort of put more money, instead of the Treasury borrowing more and more money from the financial sector and from the private sector. We should try to sort of solve a part of this problem within the public sector ourselves. So there is a space for this, and if there's sort of a reaction on the financial market, yeah, you must consider then to have sort of capital controls or tighter controls over the movement over the border in order to control somewhat the value of the rand. But I mean, all this is considered as I don't know, leftist policy or something like that. But as it is now, they are leading the economy to the precipice. That's what I think.